BlackRock spot ETFs bought 3,740 Bitcoin and 12,680 Ethereum on May 27th. Are we surprised? Not on this channel. Talk about, supply pretty much being outweighed by, the insane amount of demand. And this is just from BlackRock themselves. We're not keeping into consideration all the other accumulation that's happening. It's just not happening within North America. As I've stated to you guys before, this is happening globally. We're seeing record amounts of demand coming in for this digital asset, because these big entities, they're not here for the short term. They are trying to accumulate for the next decades to come, because they understand the scarcity. And of course, as Bitcoin gets adopted and really becomes a staple, which it already is. We're talking about the top fifth in terms of market cap in the entire world when it comes to assets. Gold is number one, of course, but Bitcoin is at the top fifth level. That itself is insane to think of. But welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, the XRP holders. Appreciate you guys as always. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that red subscribe button. Looking across the board, once again, we're seeing a little bit of a retracement. I'm going to obviously pull out the charts and give you guys a little bit more visual as to what's really happening. But just taking a look at the price briefly, $2.30. Down about 0.5% in USD. We're up 0.1% in Bitcoin. Comparative valuation sitting below 135 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $1.8 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. I think I said the disclaimer 2 times, but it's very, very important. So obviously keep that in mind. So the SEC will host a conference on emerging trends in asset management on June 5th, which is just days away, with digital asset and tokenization as part of its sessions. SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce and panelists from BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Fidelity, and more will participate in the conference. Wow, very interesting stuff. And we're talking about some big names, arguably the biggest asset managers here, and you can see they're all going to be at this conference, which again is very interesting to see. But look at this. In the letter to the SEC, Ripple proposed a maturity test to determine when crypto tokens should no longer be considered securities. This is very interesting, and this is submitted by Ripple themselves. And you can see, dear member of the SEC Crypto Task Force, and they're pretty much trying to help the SEC, so this does not happen in the future. Of course, things are still happening in terms of rules being implemented. It's not just going to happen overnight. There's a lot of things that go into a lot of bills that need to be passed, and there's a lot of things that are already happening. We have come so far in just such a short span of time, and literally over the last 5 to 6 I wouldn't even say 6 months. In the last 5 months, we have seen so much happening, so much, unnecessary things that were there, completely gone now. The restructure happening right in front of us. So, it does take time. It's not just going to happen overnight. We need to understand all the positives, rather than just, focusing on what hasn't happened yet. So that is something that I want you guys to keep in mind. But moving forward, let's take a look at this. Shout out to Smoke. Even as recent as 2024, the IMF confirmed that R3 is based on XRP blockchain. So you could see, category, central bank, digital currency, crypto assets, and stable coins. There's a plan to issue sovereign stable coins by late 2022 based on R3 XRP blockchain. There are no unbacked crypto assets used in the country. There is no absolute but implicit ban on crypto assets activities. So it's pretty much, just going over some other things. But you can see there is a plan to issue stablecoins by late 2022 based on R3 XRP blockchain. And David Sachs today said at the Bitcoin conference, we see the blockchain, Bitcoin, and crypto. This is the financial system of the future. Not a surprise to any one of us on this channel, because of course this is something we've been talking about day in, day out over the last 9-10 years, especially if you hear from the day one. How far this market has come, and I think we're still in the early stages in terms of it being mass adopted globally. I think it's finally starting to happen. Obviously, regulation is coming towards crypto, but in order for it to get to the masses where it's going to be easily accessible to every single person, I still think, we are in the early stages of that as well. But moving forward, let's take a look at this. So, John says, honest question, if XRP is decentralized, then why is House the face of it and Ripple is the issuer? I don't see the same arrangement with BTC. Our good old friend Short says, House is the CEO of Ripple, a company. XRP has no issuer. All the XRP that will ever exist was created when the ledger was created. Unlike most other blockchains, XRP has no rigorous features, so the ledger itself can't really do the initial distribution beyond letting anyone who wants to take as much XRP as they want. As for thinking about whether XRPL is decentralized, I would suggest thinking for a few minutes about why you care whether a ledger is decentralized. Ask yourself what you want to be assured will it happen and what you want to be assured won't happen. Then think about what it would take for the things you don't want to happen to nevertheless happen, or the things you do want to happen to nevertheless not happen. This will allow you to think usefully about how decentralized something is without getting bogged down in definition. Very, very interesting take, and quite an interesting comment back to this person that is asking this. So moving forward, the Circle IPO revealed some under the hood information, including that they are all in the same network of banks as Ripple. At the last mile of the converting between stablecoins and conventional currency can prove challenging. And of course, this is one of the breaking news coming out over the last few hours. Circle is obviously submitting to go public. Again, is this a surprise? Coinbase is already public. We're going to see that shift really happening a lot. Let's start getting used to this. I think a lot of crypto companies are going to go public. Ripple obviously has come out and said they're not doing anything in terms of going public this year, but that does not mean 2026 or in the other near future, we don't see Ripple going public. So let me know down below what you guys think, but let's take a look at what's happening with the prices. So dominance has gone up a little bit over the last few hours since our last update. Bitcoin did see that rejection, as I spoke to you guys about in my last update, at 110,800. Which of course makes sense why we did see the broader market see a little bit of a retracement. XRP still holding its ground very nicely at this exact support line at $2.30. So far so good, like what I'm seeing here. People get spooked out about 3 to 4% move towards the downside. We need to understand that it's not just XRP that's going down, it's in correlation to the king of the market and obviously the index itself. But let me know down below what you guys think. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? We'll see you later when Crypto ZX, and peace out.